Hey there, Sovereigns. Monica Grace from cardreadingqueen.com here. Today's content is should you work with energy healers on the twin soul journey and the good and the bad of doing so. I used to be against working with energy healers. And the reason I think is because I've always been a pretty logical person. So in terms of the Myers-Briggs, I'm on the thinking end rather than the feeling end. And I've always really needed logic to back up any of my feelings. Like ultimately, I've never fully trusted my feelings, and I never went off of intuition for things. I always had to see things in the physical in order to trust my emotions, and really in order to know how I felt about something. So I couldn't figure out how I felt about something unless I tried it or unless I ran an experiment, just to see how it was actually going to play out. So I didn't see the point in working with energy healers because it felt like my logical side was saying like, well, what if they're saying they're doing all this stuff and they're just making it up? Like that was kind of the deal. And for those of you who have never done energy work, it's basically like there are a couple of different ones that I've done in the past. One is like, and this is typical, like typically there's some look at your chakra system. So they'll go through your 7 chakras, and they'll say like, here's what this chakra looks like, and here's what this chakra looks like, that sort of thing. Sometimes there's a look at your Akashic records. And then a lot of times they do also like look at past lives. And then, other forms of energy work could be like an astrology reading or a tarot reading and the astrology and tarot readings I'm a little bit more comfortable with because they are more physical. So, astrology is based on actual placement of planets and stars, and each of those things have actual meaning. So it's like I'm able to see the structure of that much more easily in the physical. Like it's almost like math for me, in the sense that there's a logical system that backs up the content of the healing. And then it's the same with tarot. There's that logical system. You lay out the cards, each card has a meaning. I know the meaning, so like I know it's not like made up. And so with these other forms of energy healing, another one is like Reiki. It's always been a little, I've been a little bit avoidant of it, and I have done some. So in the past, I had done a couple without realizing that I was doing it. So like one of my friends was, she was offering, kind of like it was like 4 different energy healings, and it was like Akashic records, chakras, past lives, and like something else. It might have been like Reiki. I don't remember. But she was trained in like these 4 different energy healings, and I was friends with her, and I still am friends with her, just to be clear. And I had a lot of trust in her, so it was like I worked with her on that, and it was great. And more recently I had an energy healing, and so I was avoidant of it for like a year. But I'll tell you more about that as the content goes on. So I've done a couple things, and I think sometimes we are doing energy healing even though we don't realize it. Like we're just, if you're into spirituality, then you might have purchased something that was an energy healing at some point, and not realized it. So basically I was against energy healing. My whole thing was like that you need to do the work more physically. So a lot of times when I would be investigating something from my past or investigating a wounding, I would journal it out very specifically and like go very like step by step. So that's another thing. I was like, I have to do things methodically. And if you have like a step by step process, that is like kryptonite. Or no, not kryptonite, but a terrible thing. That is like candy to me. So the opposite of kryptonite, but like it's just like the way that I process things is, so I really enjoyed journaling, because it was like a very step-by-step process. And so you'll see that in the things I offer as well, like everything is very methodical and step-by-step, because I like to do, step 1 and then step 2 and then step 3 and make sure that like I have done all the steps in order. Like I kind of like to follow the rules, I guess. So I didn't want to do this energy reading that I recently had. I actually got the reading back yesterday. I didn't really believe in a lot of it, I think. So like one thing is I didn't know, people say that they can do certain things and I didn't know if I really believed it. So like mediumship, for example, like I don't know if that person is actually talking to a spirit or not. Like maybe they just think they are and they're just making it up. It's kind of the same with all this other stuff. And if you work with energy, please don't take this personally, because it's not that I don't believe people. It's really like I have my own just blocks against it. So, and I'm going to go through that. So don't take it personally. If you understand energy very well, please don't take what I'm saying personally. I'm just saying like how I have approached this in the past. So yeah, I didn't believe in energy work. I didn't believe in past lives. I still don't know if I believe in past lives. I'm certainly more open to the concept. I would say like 4 years ago, I thought reincarnation was just like ridiculous, like this really ridiculous idea. And I was raised Catholic, so I think that's why like Catholicism is like quite against reincarnation, even though essentially even though Jesus, rose from the dead. I guess that's not reincarnation, but yeah, it's like Catholicism is pretty against that. Also just like science is really against it, and math and logic. And every time I talk about reincarnation to my husband, for example, he's always like, he always brings up this statistic of like, that if reincarnation is even true, then like most people would be here on their first life, because just like something to do with like the population, just the population over centuries and like was just so much smaller than it is now. And so he's always like, yeah, most souls would still be here on their first turn even if reincarnation existed. So basically my point is that I had a lot of blocks against energy work. Akashic records, I actually don't even know what it is. I still don't, even though I've had my Akashic records looked at multiple times. I have no idea what it is actually about. Like I've never really like looked into it beyond that. I've just listened to people who are like, oh yeah, your Akashic records say this, or like I went to look at your Akashic records and it, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, so I recently had an energy healing, and like I said, I had one before where it was like a very good, like it was a good friend. Like I had met her like multiple times in person. I've stayed at her house before. I know her husband, like, and we met through a mastermind group. But she was somebody that I really trusted and that I still deeply trust today. And I would still recommend her. Her work was like amazing. I don't think she does the same work anymore. I will look into it. but if she does, then I can recommend her to you. Just email me. You can email me team@cardreadingqueen.com if you want to know who she is. And then I recently did another one with one of my friends. So my friend Susan, who I talk about all the time on this channel, she's Susan Dawn Spiritual Connections. If you want to look her up, and she's got like Facebook, Instagram, a website, a YouTube channel. She does a lot of tarot reading. She also does past lives, and she does mediumship. And so she recommended her friend Kelly to me. Kelly is, her brand is the Purple Priestess, and she does Atlantean healing. And it's just a modality that she works with. So my friend Susan had been recommending this to me for like over a year. And I was just like, no, like I'm not doing this. I'm not into this. I don't want to look at past lives. I don't even think I believe in past lives. And, you know, I was just like, she was always talking about this healing, and I was super skeptical and just not into it. And over time, I have realized, I have found ways to put this type of healing into a logical context that I can understand. So let me first talk about the healing itself. So like I said, went through the chakras, talked about each one. This was pretty helpful to me, as each chakra, you can look up what each chakra means online. And so, and I've talked about the chakras as well. And it's really like a map of your energetic balance, and areas where you are struggling, areas where you are open, and where energy is flowing easily. And each of the chakras is a placement on your body as well. So you can use your own body, and like any physical pain that you're feeling within your body, you can match it to a chakra and work through the pain there. In addition to like modern medicine, I just want to be clear. At least for me, I do not believe that you should just work through the chakras on body pain. I think you can also and should also consult medical professionals. So she went through the chakras, and that was good, and it was pretty spot on. And that's the thing with energy work that I found, is that it's pretty much always been spot on for me. I've never had a situation where the energy was incorrect, per se. And so that could be for a lot of things, a lot of ways that works. And, you know, my rational mind is like, oh, well, it was so general that it worked, or it brought up something for me that I like added meaning to. So like the logical mind can like get around this basically. And if you focus on that logical side of things and say, well, then this is a scam, or this is not real, because it could be this, then you're really just like hurting yourself. You're going to get yourself into a place of, not really like trusting anything, basically, which is not good for your twin soul journey. You need to be open and willing to trust things. Okay, so she went through the chakras, and then she talked about two things that were really resonant with me. So the first one was, it was really about control, and it was talking about how in a past life, I had a controlling husband, basically, and that controlling husband controlled everything about my life, in the sense that like he said like when I could eat, when I could sleep, when I could breathe was one of the things she said. But she basically was saying that it was affecting me now in the sense that I still felt controlled, and that I was basically bringing that to my relationships, where even even if the person wasn't controlling, I felt controlled, like because I had internalized control. And that I found pretty interesting and pretty spot on. I think I've talked about many times in these videos how I have like a real wounding around the patriarchy. And some women don't. Like lots of women don't have that, even though it affects them. But I've always felt like not really like respected, not liked, not seeing as many doors open, because I am a woman. Like I've always been very sensitive to that. And I think a lot of it is that, pretty much since the beginning of college, I would say, I have always been in like a male profession, including my current one. I'm basically in a male profession, with one of my other businesses, but I had always, so like example is I was trying to major in physics, and I ended up changing my major and just getting a minor in that. But it was like, it was primarily men in that program. So the thing I switched to was computer science, which was even worse than physics. It was like, I think there were like 5 women total in the program out of like 100 people in the program, or maybe even 150 people in the program total. And so like every single computer science class I had, I was the only woman in it. Like it would be me and literally a room of like 25 dudes and a male teacher. And that was my college experience. Then I was also in a sorority, and the sorority fraternity dynamic, and this is true for like anybody in college, but there was like a real toxicity to it, to that system of like women are objectified basically. I mean, it's like, it just is what it is. It's like, and that's not to say that sororities and fraternities are not great. Like there were lots of great things that came out of those, but it definitely is an environment, or at least can be an environment, where toxic stereotypes grow and are prevalent. So like guys, bragging about how many people they've hooked up with, and I don't know, like just other stuff. So it was like I guess it was an objectifying experience, but it was one that I chose. So, so there was that. And then so then obviously I had a degree in computer science. So I ended up in software engineering as my profession, which was male dominated for obvious reasons. So male dominated degree program, went to male dominated profession. So again, I was like the only woman there. And I worked for tech startups for years. I moved to the marketing side eventually. So then I did an MBA program where again, women, almost every graduate degree program in the country is balanced in terms of men and women now, including a law degree and a medical degree, both of which used to be primarily men, but now it's about 50-50 women. Business school is one of the last holdouts where it's still predominantly men. And a big part of that, they talk about this, is that women can't really, it's like the time that you would be accepted to graduate school for business is you're accelerating your career, but it's also the time when you would be having children. So there's this big kind of gap there. And then as people don't get the right qualifications for things, they don't move up as quickly. And so you see like at the very top leadership, in terms of CEOs and politicians as well, there's just, women are just vastly underrepresented in the top leadership at companies. So all of this has been not just it's not just like factual as in like statistically, like there's the evidence of all of this disparity based on gender, but it's also so deeply ingrained in my own personal experience, because I chose it. Like I chose it. And then I'll just say in the online world, so I have another business, Twin Soul stuff. For the most part, it is a lot of women who are doing this. But my other business is focused on teaching business concepts, and it's a lot of men. It's actually a lot of white men as well. So anyway, I have like an issue around the patriarchy. So that was the first one, was just this thread of control issues, like still feeling that wounding around the patriarchy, and it's something I'm working through and healing, but pretty much was spot on. The second past life that she talked about was, she was saying that me and my twin flame were American settlers at the beginning of the US forming. So we were American settlers, and she said that I basically saw my twin flame die at the hands of like a tribe leader. So I won't get into the racial anything there, but she was basically saying that I saw him die, and that it was just extremely heartbreaking to me, because I had like we had like finally gotten to the US, and we were finally able to like be together, I guess. And she was saying that I had basically everything I wanted, and then my twin flame died. And so, sorry if I'm getting emotional in my voice, but it was just like very sad and upsetting. And she said specifically that when he left the earth, my heart left me, was how she explained it. And that was also pretty spot on to a previous relationship that I had. And I was in that relationship, I was pretty afraid he was gonna die. Like, and a big part of that was because he was making choices that were dangerous. Like, he was putting himself in situations that were dangerous, and he had good reasons to do that. But it was pretty intense. So I thought he was gonna die. I actually thought I was gonna be like a reason he died. And she was basically saying that it had caused a lot of fear. And she explained, so it had caused a lot of fear on my end, which is why I pushed away the relationship. And then it caused a lot of fear on his end, in the sense that he also was pushing away the relationship because he didn't want to die and leave me. Like, he just didn't want to deal with that guilt. So that was the second past life thing. And, she said it was the twin flame. She said it was my twin flame. I don't think this person is my twin flame, pretty much. But so I'll kind of explain that. So basically, this was the experience of the energy healing. And the reason why I'm sharing that is so that you can understand what these energy healings are for. And so the way that I take this energy healing, the messages that I take from that, is that these are still things that are wounding inside me. So the control issues, that's something that is being brought to from my subconscious to my conscious on purpose right now, because it's something I need to heal. And the same with this story about the American settlers. It's like, and you can, I can hear it in my voice. It's like still painful to me. And so that is wounding, that is separating me from everything I want. So that's how I take this. So what I've learned about energy healings, one is that they are always relevant the same way that like tarot is always going to be relevant. So if you have a tarot reading, it pretty much always feels relevant. And a part of that is because it's because you hear something and it resonates with you somewhere inside you. And I used to think like, oh, well, this is not real because of that. And now I think this is great. Like, it's a tool. So energy healing to me is a tool, the same way tarot is a tool, the same way astrology is a tool, in that it gives you a story and you find the places within you that story resonates. And so you can always, so it's always going to be relevant to you and help you bring the subconscious to the conscious. And that's critical to healing anything, because you don't know what wounding is driving you in your daily life. So you can always choose to see it as a story. And this for me, it's like, I don't know if I believe in past lives, but that's okay, because I believe the story was meant for me. Like, for example, the story of the American settlers, I believe that story is meant for me as a metaphor right now. So I don't take it literally. I don't know if past lives are real. I don't know if I had a past life with my twin flame and we were American settlers. Like, I don't know that. I don't take it so literally. What I take from it is that this wounding around death was an integral part of my life, I guess. And so I think it's okay to just take this energy work as a metaphor if you're struggling with like the logical blocks around that. And then, as I said, whatever's resonant for you is going to exist somewhere inside you. And if you hear something that brings up emotion, that probably means that there's some wounding there that could be brought to the conscious and released and healed. And so that's what I think you can take from these. So that's the good of it. Yeah, I think that's actually complete, because I did talk about the bad and why I didn't like energy healings to begin with. So what I would say to all of this is that it's worth being open to it. It's worth trying it. I wouldn't rely solely on energy work. I think that there's a lot to be said for working through things in the physical, working through things from a logical perspective. I don't think you want to rely just on energy work and be constantly booking sessions for energy work and hoping that gets you to your twin soul. Because ultimately, the energy work, and really any of this work, is just helping you identify a pattern within you. So that's really it. I hope that this was helpful to you. I wanted to give a quick update on my book, Your Twin Soul Journey. That is not just a book at this point. It's actually become a series. And so what I realized is that I was trying to write the book and it was just way too big. And so I decided to break it out into multiple books. So the first one talks about, stages of the twin soul journey. The next one talks about, I don't totally remember, but I think it's about like identifying your twin soul, something that I've been struggling with lately still. But it's really, and each of the books is designed to take you pretty deep into the topic. As I don't, and I think it'll be something that is just really helpful. Yeah. So I'm not sure what else I want to say about that. So anyway, those are probably going to go up on pre-order soon, and they will be shorter books, which I think will be nice. So you can just kind of pick and choose which topic you want to deal with, and then just go really deep into that one thing in order to heal quickly. That's all for me. I hope this was helpful to you. Thank you so much for giving me your time and attention on this content, and have a beautiful and blessed day.